What's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. Phil Perry alongside. We have a great show for you today. Not only is there Phil, we also have Mike Klis from 9 News in Denver. You've probably heard him in the past when we've done Denver games. He is a gumshoe reporter. He gets in there. He gives you details. He's going to take us in depth on the Denver side of things in this AFC Championship game. But one of the things that we haven't spoken about enough this week is the noise. Drake Maye talked about it.
Yeah, we use the sound count every road game. Really, I think every road game this season we've used it. So just, I think the loudness of the stadium for this week will be different than what we've kind of heard just because of the AFC Championship at a road opponent that has had history of winning Super Bowls and playing in playoff games and has a great team. So it'll be the magnitude of the noise will be probably something we haven't seen this year yet. But the sound count something we've been working all year, and we've been in Buffalo and Baltimore using silent counts where it's tough to hear in the huddle and tough for the O-line to hear me. So we just go in silent, and we've done a good job.
Phil, the Grinch made a great point on his program back in, I would say probably the late 60s when it first aired. It was all the noise. If there's one thing I hate, it's the noise. It's the loudest stadium in the National Football League, Phil, and it's a problem. And the Patriots are going to have to deal with that. Concern level for you that this team hasn't had to deal with it against really anyone in the same extreme level they're going to deal with it on Sunday.
Yeah, they probably haven't. You're going to have that crowd all worked up, all in the lather, and the closest maybe you would have gotten to it would be in Buffalo. Sunday Night Football,
yep.
Divisional matchup. That's a big game. That's a hard place to play. Baltimore, they were still fighting for something there. That's a hard place to play, or can be. I still don't think they're as hard as Denver. And so you have to be on your P's and Q's, and that is something that's worth watching, I think, right from the jump, Tom, because it is a young team. It's a young offense specifically. And if you're dealing with things like the silent count, how do not only Drake Maye, I would suspect actually that he would be fine with it. He's still running the show.
Mm-hmm.
But how are the offensive linemen, specifically on the left side? Your running back, maybe Travion Henderson, who's going to have a lot going on in terms of protection responsibilities, is my guess, whenever he's out there. It's just a lot to think about in the moment.
Okay. In having to think about that, especially on offense, it's not going to bother you as much on defense, but it's going to bother you on offense. You did a great job asking Drake Maye about his need to get the ball out because the common denominator with the turnovers in general with the fact that he held the ball a little bit too long. Here's Drake Maye talking to Phil on Wednesday of this week when asked about the speed with which he has to get the ball out and maybe check it down a bit.
No, I don't think trying to change it. I think last week you change it and Keyshawn doesn't make the play. So little things like that are just knowing the time and place for it. I think trying to get the ball out of my hand and just being cognizant of the edge rushers and taking care of the football is the number one thing. So if we have time and have a look downfield, me, I'm going to take a look and take a shot.
Why'd you ask him that?
Well, because this is a situation in which, number one, you're going against a team that we think is going to be deficient offensively because they have a backup quarterback in. It's an offense that's been pretty middling even when they have their starting quarterback in. And so you would think that's the kind of game where offensively, if you're New England, you're thinking better safe than sorry, right? We're playing against a great defense. If I'm Drake Maye, should want to have the football out quickly so that I'm not inviting pressure, so that I'm not inviting the mistakes that have led to 6 fumbles over the course of the first 2 games of the postseason for me. So you ball all that together and you say, maybe a little different approach than the one where he is among the league leaders in terms of air yards and leading the league in terms of yards per attempt this season. He has been really aggressive and it's worked for him for the most part. Might he want to change that this week? That is a balance that I think he's going to have to strike. And when he decides to take his chances will be really interesting to see because I think it could end up deciding the game one way or the other.
They cannot be in 2nd and 8 and 2nd and 9. That's why it's going to be a huge game for Ramondre Stevenson, who we will dive into a little bit more with some of his statistics over the last 6 games. But speaking of statistics, you said some numbers to Felger and Maz regarding the efficiency of Drake Maye when he holds the ball a little bit too long. I think you were on the stage. I don't know if you sent them to them specifically, but what are some of those numbers showing when he has to hold it? And the important thing, folks, is he's not standing back there holding it because he thinks it's a great idea to do it against Houston or the Chargers. My estimation is they have good corners. They have good safeties. They have a good pass rush. They're going to do more damage than the Giants, than the Jets, than the Dolphins. So these numbers that are dropping, they are a byproduct of better coverage downfield, which is then a result of him having to hold the ball, which is then a result of these negative plays. Not to say he shouldn't get rid of it quicker, but you can't get rid of it to friggin' nowhere. Phil.
And you also don't want to start turtling or seeing ghosts and going down for no good reason.
Or
right?
throw it into a team meeting because you're like, oh, it's 1.7 seconds.
Would he ever, to get to his answer to me about potentially changing his approach, would he ever have even gotten to the Kayshon Boutte throw? If he was so worried about the pass rush, he might look at a route like that and say, well, I know he's got a chance to win one-on-one, and I usually love to throw one-on-ones, especially down the field. Pretty accurate, but there's a good chance the pass rush is going to get to me, so just forget that. I ain't doing that today. He can't play that way either. Here are some of the numbers in terms of his play style and how it's gone for him in the pocket for certain periods of time. Over the course of the regular season, he held on to the ball longer than most. He averaged 2.91 seconds from snap to throw, which was 27th in the league. That's on the long end, certainly. Now, in the postseason, when he's held the ball for 2.5 seconds or more, that is usually the cutoff point for all these different analytic sites. 2.5 seconds is about the standard amount of time you would want to have the football. Longer than that in the playoffs, bad news. 11 for 24, which is 45.8% completions for 200 yards, 1 touchdown, but 2 picks, 7 sacks, and on 3 of those sacks, he also fumbled the ball. When he gets it out quickly, dynamite.
He's him.
As a point guard, he's been tremendous. 22 of 32, 68.8%, 247 yards. That's almost 8 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and 3 sacks, which I think a sack within 2.5 seconds is probably one of those that you put more on the offensive line than you do on Drake Maye.
So there you have it. How do you keep yourself in a situation where you don't have to make 20-yard throws downfield? You're not in 3rd and long or 2nd and long, whereas we've pointed out throughout this season, Drake Maye's probably historically, and I haven't gone back through the years, but his completion percentage on 3rd and 10 plus, 3rd and 10 to 15, early in the season was 75% completion percentage, and they were converting on 3rd and 10 plus at a 40% rate, which is what teams would be happy with on all 3rd downs from 3rd and 1 on.
And I would just add, Tom, even though this Broncos defense, I think, has come back to earth a little bit late in the season.
I want to get into something. Go. This is good.
I think you look at it, and since Week 12, they had the bye in Week 12. Since Week 12, they basically have played 3 starting-level quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and Jordan Love. 3 pretty good players this year. But those are really the 3. Otherwise, it's loaded with backups. In those 3 games, they allowed, on average, their defense 30 points per game and 386 yards of offense. So it's a good group, and I don't want to disparage the group, especially the pass rush. I think those players, Nick Bonito and Zach Allen, who are going to work on the left side of the Patriots offensive line, are fantastic. But they can be had. And so Drake Maye shouldn't have this mentality of, I got to play the game like Bailey Zappi now.
It's not DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller and Terrence Knighton and who's the middle guy, Derek Wolfe?
Yes, good call.
And the corners that they had in 2015 that terrorized the greatest quarterback of all time.
They're good. And Surtain might be the best, might have been the best corner on that team. He's fantastic as well. But there are going to be openings. And so what you don't want is for Drake Maye to just put the blinders on and say, I am going to bypass any of those opportunities because if I'm just safe with the football, we win the game. You might end up making it closer than it needs to be if that's the approach that you take. So again, there's a balance there. You don't have to be chucking it down the field 2 or 3 times per drive, but you still do want to be open to those possibilities.
Yeah, and chucking it down the field doesn't always mean 60 yards. Sometimes it means 25 yards on a double hop, crow hop into the middle, and then throw a dart to Stephon Diggs, who sat down in front of the safeties because the safeties have been dragged up the field by Kayshon Boutte or Kyle Williams. I like that fact that you're pointing out about who takes the field on Sunday is not necessarily a full amalgamation of what you've seen for the first 19 games of the year in the Patriots sense, or 18 in the Broncos sense. Here are the numbers so far, at least in the regular season for Denver. 278.2 yards per game they allowed. Rushing yards, that was second in the league. Second in the league in rushing yards per game. First in sacks per pass attempt. Third down percentage, second, 33.76. Red zone, they were first in the NFL. Their home defense, this is a cool stat. They allowed 55.9 completion percentage, which is outstanding. 9 touchdowns, 8 picks, 36 sacks at home, and the passer rating was 72.6. But as Phil points out, Josh Allen, with a fairly weapon-free wide receiver core and an unbelievably good running back, was able to put up 30 points
and
despite having 5 turnovers.
Sorry, I got you.
5 drives ended with them giving the ball to the other team.
They still scored 30.
And they still scored 30. So I want to keep it in check and say this is the team that you're going to see. Meanwhile, it's important to say with the Broncos offense going against the Patriots defense, the Patriots defense has been outstanding through 2 weeks. And everyone's like, well, where's that been? And I've said a million times, it's Milton Williams, it's Robert Spillane, but more importantly, I've said it's the people. And it's not just the people in the Patriots uniforms, it's the people in the Texans uniforms, and it's the people in the Chargers uniforms. And if it's not Omarion Hampton out there, and it's not Nico Collins out there, and you have no Trent Brown out there, it's easier to go against those offensive lines. So I don't think the Patriots defense is going to look like the Patriots defense has the last 2 weeks. Are they going to suck? I seriously doubt it. Are they going to not know whether to poop or go blind? Sorry, Uriah, I like to say that. My friend Uriah is here today. Uriah J. Is here today with his family. Austin Hooper has a charity, and Austin asked if we could do a giveaway of a day here at NBC Sports Boston, and the family was nice enough to bid on that, so we're hosting him. So Uriah's sitting over there. So poop or go blind. You can tell that to your friends, Uriah.
Yeah, Uriah. Usually it's much less appropriate than that when he says that. So I'm glad he toned it down a little bit for you. I have a stat from Uriah that we have to use in a second, by the way, before we move off of the Patriots offense. But I want you to continue.
But
do
you get rolling. That point? Do you see what I'm saying? Look, the Patriots defense is excellent.
Broncos or Patriots?
No, Patriots.
Yes,
the numbers that they've amassed are good.
Yes.
They are realistically good. They're a gambling defense right now. You look where the safeties were playing last week. And this is a good team to gamble against. As you pointed out earlier this week, I think I agree with you now. Speed Jarrett Stidham up. Don't give him time to get in a groove. Let him go 6 for 7 for 71 yards on some drive. Speed him up. See if he can do it all day.
I think there's a chance. You're right. There's a low likelihood that they look as good as they've looked in these first 2 games, where they've given up 1 total touchdown.
I mean, it's the best offensive line kind of by far.
Turnover numbers have been through the roof. The offensive line for Denver alone, I think, makes them a more formidable challenge. However, Tom, I would say what the Chargers had at quarterback is significantly better than what they're going to see this weekend. And they made him look
what the Chargers
like
had.
A far below average player. I think one reason why the Patriots do have an opportunity here to look really good yet again, even with that offensive line being excellent, and specifically when it comes to pass protection, is if they take a similar approach and they continue to blitz the way they have the last couple of weeks, and they throw numbers at the problem, there is, I think, a very low likelihood of 2 things. Number one, Jarrett Stidham handling it well, because I just think it's really hard to deal with when you haven't seen, quote-unquote, live bullets in 2 years, to have a good feel for the timing necessary to beat those types of looks. Number 2, I think he's going to see a lot of those looks because they're going to be in a lot of passing situations because they haven't been able to run the ball. They can't run it. And so that, to me, is a huge bugaboo for Sean Payton and this offense this week. You would love to be able to just attack downhill again and again and again behind a good offensive line and a good running game, but since week 11, they've averaged only 3.5 yards per carry. So if they're in 3rd and 8 all the time, the way the Patriots don't want to be, how is that going to bode for Jarrett Stidham? I'm having a hard time envisioning that going well. Now maybe
it turns into a punt contest.
Well, maybe Payton can scheme it together, and Tom, maybe a lot of screens, designed sort of moving pocket plays. I think Stidham is athletic enough to roll. He's not the scrambler. I don't think that Nick's has been, but you can move the pocket a little bit, change the launch point, make it harder for him to get people in his face. But 3rd and 8 is 3rd and 8, and he's going to have success on those downs in order for them to win.
And that is the truth of the Sean Payton offense. Is speaking of Mike Klis, you'll hear it in a little bit when we speak to our Denver reporter. He does not want sacks taken ever. So that's part of the reason that Bo Nix had 22 this year.
Which is fantastic for the people listening. He was one of the best in football at avoiding sacks.
He's a roller router. They do move the pocket, and Stidham is mobile enough. You said that he's not as good as Bo Nix, but he's good.
I think as a scrambler, I don't know if he's as...
I don't know if he's going to pick up 10 for you on 3rd and 7, but he'll be able to move around. He's not going to be a water bug, but he'll move better than Brady, not as good as May. How's that? You got plenty of room there. All right. My buddy Aaron Schatz from, he's the progenitor of DVOA. Progenitor? I don't know where that word came from. I'm not even sure I used it right.
I think you nailed it.
I think I did too. Anyway, he came up with DVOA, didn't he?
He sure did.
He invented it. So he's from around here, Natick, I think, but he's a very unbiased observer. He's a strict numbers guy. So here is what he wrote about Jarrett Stidham, because he wanted to get under the hood. This is why Aaron is so useful, is we could sit here and shoot the stuff, Uriah, all we want about players and how we feel they are. He's going to tell us. Here we go. Aaron Schatz. Jarrett Stidham played a bit for the 2020 Patriots and was horrible. That was also 5 years ago and really teaches us nothing. More recently, Stidham started 2 games for the 22 Raiders and the 23 Broncos and did a reasonable job. I went diving into the Stats Hub to find some splits, and they told me nothing. Everything came out either good in 2022 and bad in 2023, or average both years. Stidham was good against the blitz in 22, bad in 23. Good against man in 22, bad in 23. Average against zone in 22, slightly above average in 23. He was fine with the quick game both years. Things that stand out about Stidham: first, not good on deep throws. He would have been 32nd out of qualifying quarterbacks in DVOA. And the real difference between Nix and Stidham is the second thing that stood out: sack avoidance. Nix may be the best in the league when it comes to avoiding sacks. Some of this is the strong defensive line, but Nix did a lot of it on his own. Stidham had adjusted sack rates. They were high. And sacks are a big issue because of the way the Patriots pass rush has come alive in recent weeks. And again, this is why he's great. Some of this is effect of playing bad offensive lines from the Chargers and Texans, and the Broncos are much better, but the Patriots' blitz rate is yielding much more. Also, he adds, at least Stidham can run with the ball when pressured, or at least he could 3 years ago. So that's as good as you're going to get for a scouting report, but besides looking at the tape from preseason and 3 years ago. He's not going to kill him. That is a branch I will walk out on and bounce on. Not with Sean Payton as the offensive coordinator.
The only reason I hesitate to get out on that branch with you, number one, there are very few branches in this world I think that could hold us both.
2 of us, right? Yeah.
Number two, it's just so hard to know how he'll handle certain situations, because Payton can scheme it up all he wants. If they fall behind early, this is why I think the Patriots should be relatively aggressive offensively early, because I think if they play with a lead, they could put the game away in pretty short order.
Well, that's a good point.
So how does he handle it? How does he handle a team that is now blitzing at a rate of almost 40% when it was less than 30% back during the vast majority of the regular season? And his numbers under pressure, which is one thing that I don't believe Aaron got into in his statistical scouting report that I have found really interesting, and these are according to Warren Sharp and Sharp Football. When under pressure, and it's a small sample size, right? We're all working off small sample size. 197, I believe, pass attempts for his career to this point, Jarrett Stidham. When he's under pressure, he completes only 40% of his passes. When he's working from a clean pocket, that number jumps 30 more percentage points. So he'll complete 70%. If you just let him sit behind center and he's not bothered, he'll complete 71% of his passes.
Isn't that a really good stat to really illustrate what's going on? Is Jarrett Stidham good? No, he sucks. No, he doesn't. You leave him alone. He's going to complete about 7 out of 10 passes, and he's got a weapon, and he's not afraid to use it.
Yeah, and they might be more in the short area, but I think that would be fine with Sean Payton. He's big on the screen game. He's big on yards after the catch. So you have to find a way to pressure him, and maybe it is by continuing to blitz because, again, I don't know if rushing 4 against this offensive line is going to yield a whole lot for the Patriots. I think you're going to have to get more exotic, and you should feel comfortable in doing so against a quarterback that you're unsure is really going to beat you down the field.
Okay, who is your MIP NDM?
Most important player now down nihilism.
Really good. Oh, I had M as in Mary, not N as in
sorry.
nincompoop. Most important player, not Drake Maye.
Ah, yes, of course.
Really good, though. You came real close.
Yeah, sure, with the nihilism thing at the very end. That was pertinent.
Is that Nietzsche? Nietzsche?
The progenitor of
Holy
horrible
crap.
ideas over
I got to
here.
double check and see if progenitor is not a swear.
The most important non-Drake Maye player in this game.
A person. What the? Oh, yeah, no, right. A person or thing from which a person, animal, or plant is descended or originates.
Yeah.
An ancestor or parent. Yeah, nose.
Nailed it.
Pretty cool.
You are a well-read individual.
I'm pretty caffeinated right now.
Who will just allow really high-level words to just fly right out of that mouth of yours. I'm going to say Will Campbell. I think Will Campbell against Nick Bonito will matter because when I asked Josh McDaniels earlier this week whether or not he would prioritize keeping added protection in to protect or getting receivers out into the route to try to beat the Broncos pass rush that way with quicker throws, he basically answered, you can't stay in the same thing snap after snap after snap. Meaning, we're going to mix it up. There are going to be times where Will Campbell has help. There are going to be times where he doesn't have help.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, he has to play better than he has, in my opinion. I think this matchup suits him better against Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito typically aligns on the offensive left. Really great and productive edge rusher. 20% pressure rate, which among qualifying edge rushers, the only other qualifying edge rusher who hit that number this year was Micah Parsons. So it just tells you how effective he's been on a snap-to-snap basis, Bonito. But he's more of a speed guy. And I think that might benefit Campbell. I know he's been beaten with speed, but I think sometimes the guys who have power and speed, you're so accustomed to waiting for their power, if it's Will Anderson or Khalil Mack, that when they decide to use speed, it's just that much more effective. If you're expecting the fastball over and over and over again, with Bonito, that being his speed, I think it gives you a better chance to handle it. So if he can't, that could lead to some really game-changing mistakes. If he can, I think the Patriots run away with it.
My guy is Ramondre Stevenson. Listen to the numbers. 6 for 50 against the Bills, 8 for 51 against Baltimore, 8 for 47 against the Jets, 10 for 53 against the Clippers, and 16 for 70 against the Texans. He's also got catches of 3 for 27, 2 for 27, 5 for 55, 3 for 75, 4 for 11. He's just productive, and they really need him. They need him to protect the football, and they need him to get them into 2nd and 6, 3rd and 3. That's vital. And even if he doesn't do it all drive long, even if he does it on the first carry or two to get them from the 35 out to the 45 so that they get that first down and then get people into the game and get that crowd settled down, because I've seen loud crowds before. Speaking of Nick Bonito, it occurred to me as you said his name, in addition to the name Kayshon Boutte, both, when I hear them, it conjures up some late 70s songs for me. In the instance of Kayshon Boutte, it goes a little something like this. KKK, KKK, a Kayshon Boutte, a Kayshon Boutte. As for Nick Bonito, some of you might be familiar with the Knack, My Sharona, okay? Na Nick Bonito. It's my Sharona.
I'm hearing it. I'm just not sure why Bonito and Sharona are linked for you. But
it's the number of syllables and it's the ring of it. Nick Bonito. Okay, I want you guys to listen to this from Rich Eisen. He really did a nice job synopsizing the the life cycle of Jarrett Stidham's week. We're going to close with this for this portion of the podcast. Stay tuned for Mike Klis.
Hold on. I teased a statistic.
I know, but I just want to say one last thing before you do. Okay. I do apologize. I'm over-caffeinated. If the Nick Bonito thing doesn't work for you folks, sorry. If it does, you'll thank me every time he makes a play on Sunday and you go, Nick Bonito. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, first I want to ask you, do you think the weather's going to be a factor here?
No.
Nor the altitude?
Yes.
You think the altitude will be a factor?
I think guys are going to get jumpy. They haven't done silent count.
That's more crowd noise than altitude. What do you think about the altitude?
With the silent count. Hey, we're going silent count. Hey, I can't breathe. I think when guys get jumpy.
Harry Carey, the offensive coordinator of the Patriots now?
Hey.
It's actually Will Ferrell doing Harry Carey.
52's Mike. What a dog.
I don't know how that. I guess that's why you give us the disclaimer that you've been over-caffeinated. Here's why the weather could be a factor in a positive way for the Patriots, and this stat is courtesy of our friend Uriah. Did you know that the Patriots, on average just a shade over 28 points per game? But in cold weather, 40 degrees or lower, the Patriots actually average 30.4 points per game. So for anybody who thinks, hey, Drake Maye's got small hands, which he does, relative to other quarterbacks, the cold's going to be a factor for him. How well has he played in the cold? Got this question from our buddy Mike Felger on BST last night. I said, I don't know if it's the cold. I feel like he's played pretty well in some cold weather games. He's been in Buffalo, and they've won. They played some good games late in the season here at Gillette. I thought it was actually pretty cold in Baltimore. We'd have to go back and check that night game in Baltimore. But I don't think the cold has been an issue for him. It's been more precipitation, which I don't believe there's any precipitation expected in Denver on Sunday.
Stays dry out there. 300 days of sunshine a year out there.
So anyway, over 30 points per game in cold weather, and it is expected to be just a tick under 40 degrees in Denver on Sunday. Thank you to Uriah for that stat.
From the desk of Uriah to your ears here on the Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast featuring Phil Perry. Enjoy Rich Eisen. Really funny as he goes through the life cycle of the Jarrett Stidham sensation here in quick time. And then Mike Klis will join to give you the skinny on what's going on out there in Denver. Phil, enjoy the football game. You want to do a prediction now or make people join pregame live at 1:30?
I'm going to make them join pregame live at 1:30 because that's going to be a heck of a show.
Fair enough.
We're inching up to Sunday night, season's over. Monday night, hang on a second. Tuesday, don't sleep on him. Wednesday, boy, he looks and sounds like a starting quarterback in the NFL, and he's been waiting his entire life for this moment, and all he needs is 2 wins in a row, and then suddenly we're going to be talking about this 2-game stretch in a Disney movie theater near you. And then Sunday morning shows will all be about what Stidham told the team or Sean Payton told the team last night, and by the time toe meets ball, he'll have a gold jacket.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the view from the Rockies. It's Mike Klis, good friend of ours, been covering the Broncos since 2005 for 9 News. And we really appreciate you coming on here. What's the team mood right now?
It's not a woe is me mood. They kind of believe in Jarrett Stidham. I mean, they feel bad for Bo Nix, that he's led them the last 2 years, every game, almost every snap. And they're bummed for him, that here it is, the biggest game he could have played in. But they believe in Stidham. I think, he still has to prove it to them and to the fans and to the media by going out there and do it. It's a tall task, not playing in a meaningful game ever and now playing in the AFC Championship game. But, they've seen him in practice. They've been around him for 3 years. He did seem to make a quantum leap in year 3 in Sean Payton's system from what we saw in training camp and preseason. We had access to that. And he did look really good all preseason. And he looked really good in training camp. Preseason, he was the number 1 quarterback for what that's worth, but he was still number 1 with 143 rating and completions and 376 yards, 4 touchdowns, and He was phenomenal in the 2 preseason games he played.
It's funny because, I think that people have a perception that, all backups are created equal. And if you get into backups, that's an issue. There's a massive difference between, for instance, if you go from Drake Maye to Josh Dobbs, that's a precipitous drop. A drop off from Bo Nix, a second-year player, to Jarrett Stidham, who's in his 5th year and is still kind of an untapped resource. We haven't seen game after game after game of him. We don't honestly know. I do know he's got a ridiculous arm. I also know that back in 20, when it was the last time we were able to observe him at length, it'd be great throw.
Yeah.
Pick, and one.
Yeah. I think he's a better pure passer. He's got a chance to be a better pure passer than Bo.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have Bo's overall quarterback game. Bo doesn't take sacks. He reads, he processes, he gets the ball out. Not taking sacks is big for Sean Payton. The Bo's ability to instinctively take off and run. The 3rd and 7, Bo is almost automatic on converting a 3rd and medium.
Mm-hmm.
Between his legs and his ability to throw on the run. He's more of an athlete than Stidham is. But Bo will miss passes. He's for the longest time this year, he was like a 58% thrower. And he goes through stretches in games. Like every game, there's like 2 quarters where you go, man, where was that throw going? He missed by a couple of yards. But then all of a sudden, Bo locks in the 4th quarter. He's kind of Tebow-esque that way.
Yeah.
The last 5 minutes is Bo all of a sudden zeroes in and he's accurate. And that's I think another big thing about Stidham that we don't know. How is he going to perform in the clutch? This team doesn't win games in the 1st quarter. They generally are behind in the 4th. And I think 13 of their wins now count in the postseason against the Bills. And that's where Bo really thrived. And we'll see if Stidham's got that clutch gene too. He hasn't had it yet, or he'd probably have played more by now.
And that's the funny thing is, do we know that for a fact? There's opportunity dictates so much in the league. And you sometimes you don't know. You don't know until you don't know. And I've been leading kind of the charge this week and saying, look out, he's got a puncher's chance. He is not a disaster. He is not going to pee down his leg. He's going to make throws that are high-level NFL caliber. He's going to be
that and Sean Payton,
yes.
I mean, I don't think Bo Nix has had the success he has had the first 2 years if Sean Payton didn't know how to coach him up, didn't know how to put the handcuffs on him when he had to. He brought him along gradually and slowly, and there was a lot of max protect last year. Bo, there was a lot of one reads for Bo. The middle of the field, which is the easiest pass for a quarterback to complete. There are a lot of those patterns. From what I understand, the intermediate pass is something that the Denver or the New England defense is vulnerable to. I don't know if you agree to that. That's what I got on my scouting report. 2 things on the New England defense was the intermediate pass, and their run defense kind of collapsed down the stretch a little bit. Those are 2 things that could be Stidham's best friend as he breaks in Sunday.
The reason behind the collapse, though, to let your folks know as you go through the week, really had to do with people. And Milton Williams, who's probably the best defender this year, was out virtually the entire time. And Robert Spillane, who had an incredible year, was out as well. They got those guys back. And in the 2 games this postseason, it's been what it was previously. As for the intermediate stuff, they're so good on the perimeter. I don't know if their linebackers are top tier in terms of coverage guys. So that might be some of it. And they have young safeties, so they might be playing deep. So I would not dispute that if you're looking for a spot in that very good defense, you might be able to make a little bit of hay in the middle of the field. What's the fan mood going in? I mean, they got the rug pulled out from under them. in some ways. You win a game, you leave it, and you're like, no quarterback next week. What?
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. It was elation and then demoralization. The range is, going to the gym, going to the breakfast. Generally, Bronco fans, they're 80% positive. Stidham's going to do it. He looked great in the preseason. He's going to be awesome. He's going to sling it. The people, the Bronco fans who worry, they worry about things. They analyze, and they're just as big of fans. They just are more critical. They discerning eye. They're hoping Bo can tape up the ankle and get out there.
Still holding out hope?
Yeah, it ain't happening. It ain't. The break, from what I understand, the break went clean through. I'm not sure which bone it was, but one of them. That's why they had to put in the surgery and the screws, and he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be back. I'm hearing no later than the mandatory minicamp, so well before training camp. So he should be good, but he's not coming back this year.
Between you and me and anybody who listens to this, I thought that having first down at the 36 and deciding to run Bo Nix on a seeming clock-killing play to the left, was just head scratching. I was, why are they killing clock at the 36-yard line? And then they fall. And that's the play he got injured, and then the next play they got the pass interference. But that's just an aside. I hated that play.
Yeah. As far as they did want to run off some clock, and I think Sean Payton, he wouldn't admit this. I actually asked him, and he kind of blew it off. But they went into that Buffalo game. Buffalo was terrible against the run and good against the pass. Number 1 pass defense, number 28 run defense. And yet Bo threw it 46 times and ran it 12. And the running backs combined for 10 carries, the two running backs. And I think the problem there is Jaleel fumbled early in the game, got wiped out by a penalty, defensive offside. And there was a fumbled exchange between Bo and Harvey. Again, it bounced right into Bo Nix's hands, so they didn't lose the ball. But I think he might have lost a little confidence in ball security with his running backs, is why he had Bo keep it. And he does have confidence in the design runs in Bo, for sure. And it was kind of a freak deal. The guy, Cole Bishop, who tackled him on his left ankle. There was no contact on the right ankle, and yet the right ankle snapped.
Like a spike, it looked like.
Yeah. So, I don't know if that was a setup play for the pass interference, but it might have been one play that led to the next.
You mentioned fumbles and the wariness that the Broncos coaching staff might have. The Patriots are going to have the same wariness here. What is the general opinion on New England, both from the coaching staff and the players?
Well, they're impressed. I'm in one of these pools with a buddy. It took me a long time to predict New England to win each week. I kept waiting for that 4-13 team to show up, and and all of a sudden they were 9-2. I think I was 2-9 picking them. They're very impressed. I think in trying to find weaknesses deep down, they're saying this is a young team, not necessarily a mature team. They think. I think they're planning on the fact that the environment here, which has really stepped up, it's been extremely hostile for opponents here. I think Bronco fans got spoiled for a long time, and then they had this 8-year drought where they had losing records in a row. And now I think some of the mania has come back because they haven't won in a while. And so, it's really crazy how they're acting. Now, Sean Payton has exhorted the crowd in his press conferences media. Some of the media has really, kind of carried some water there as far as getting the crowd fired up, and it has been a remarkable crowd. And with the altitude, they do think they have more than a puncher's chance against New England because of the environment that the young Patriots, are going to be confronting.
Yeah, and it's not the immaturity necessarily, it's the inexperience. They collectively as a team have so many players who are in their first year with them, especially on offense, first year together. They have veteran players, but first year together for them. And then they haven't had to deal with extreme noise. Buffalo was loud. Atlanta is Atlanta, can be loud. Don't think it was. No, wait, they had Atlanta at home. Never mind. Didn't even have to deal with Atlanta.
Okay.
So they really haven't experienced the absolute chaos that they have seen Denver perpetrate on the Patriots. The 2015 2015 AFC Championship, that was probably one of the most adverse situations I've seen a team have to go through. They and 2013 wasn't much better. They really helped Denver win those games.
I remember how loud it was on 4th and 10 at midfield when Brady hit Gronkowski down the middle, and Gronkowski was double covered. To me, I'll never forget that throw. That was the best throw and catch because you kind of had to be there.
Yes.
All over.
I mean,
how impossible that completion was, and only Brady and Gronkowski could have made that. I mean, no other quarterback, no other pass catcher could have made that play. And then, of course, I was actually surprised they didn't get the 2-pointer by going to Gronkowski again.
He was open.
I know.
He went to Edelman.
Who was double covered. But Ware, I know Ware was in his kitchen.
Yep.
And that's what made him just kind of hurry up and throw it somewhere.
Yeah, it was a tremendous game, but you're exactly right. It's what I'm kind of basing a lot of my analysis on this week. Look, if you combine the noise, the altitude, Sean Payton, the offensive line, and a defense that can be a real pain in the ass and is number 1 in the league in sacks, I'm not going to say it makes up entirely, but it really mitigates things.
Yeah, I usually the upsets, and this is 5.5 point spread, right?
Mm-hmm.
And usually those teams in general have a 30% chance of winning just because football is football, the NFL parity, the 2 tips at the end of an oblong ball, how it bounces. Even the weaker teams have 30% chance against a stronger team. I think the Broncos have about a 40% chance of winning this game. So a little better than the typical underdog. And it's because of where primarily the confidence comes from where the game is being played at and how the Broncos feed off that and how the defense in particular feeds off that. And the fact that, it's come out, we didn't know this till you guys put out the stat this week, but Drake Maye fumbles the ball. And the Broncos do hit the quarterback. They do hit the quarterback. And that's the strength. It's not necessarily the greatest defense against the run, even though they're ranked number 2. There's teams that have gashed them. It's not necessarily the greatest defense against the pass. They've given up some explosive plays. It's been streaky that way. But the pressure they put on a quarterback is no joke. And it was funny. They had no takeaway. They only had 12 takeaways for 16 games. For a while, I think only the Jets were worse. And now they've had 7 in the last 2 games. They've made it a point of emphasis. And last week against the Bills, they never stopped them unless they took the ball away. It's amazing. The Bills had 5 turnovers and still scored 30 points.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's kind of what they're counting on. The defense to set up a short field, a time or two for Stidham. and the Broncos win a 20-17 game, something like that. And I think that is definitely possible.
It's funny. I was on the other night and putting a percentage on it. I said 30% chance. And the folks I was with were a little surprised because I think, generally speaking, just looking at the aftermath of the Knicks injury, it's like, okay, that's over. Patriots are going to Santa Clara.
Right.
I'm like, look at the details. There's a lot of detail involved here. You would rather, if you're a Patriots fan, you would have rather had the Buffalo Bills at home than Denver. And people are like, but what, Josh Allen? I'm like, that stadium sucks. Are you going with that as your prediction? 2017? Might as well, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, 2017. I'm going to go with Michael. I would say, well, I'm not an idiot. I'll say 24-23 Patriots. I'm not listening to it if the Patriots win and I pick Denver. 24-23.
Yeah. So you got the Broncos covering.
The Broncos will cover. Yep. And the reason they lose will not be Jarrett Stidham. Thank you, my friend. Really enjoyed it.
Right on, Tom. Thank you. So did I.